And today's custom budget PC is built into this Sama V-Mesh PC case. I took a gamble and I purchased a few of these cases on discount, and I have to say I actually really like the build quality. What first drew me is of course the front mesh panel that allows for ample air intake. I always like that. And it came with two 140mm air intake fans in the front and one 140mm air exhaust fan out here, and as you can tell they are ARGB. And there's actually a nice little controller installed in the back of the case, so you don't necessarily have to have a motherboard with the header. The top I/O of the PC case features one USB Type-C, two USB 3.0, microphone and headphone jack, and this button right here marked LED controls the color scheme of the case fans. And the top panel is quite large. You can easily fit a 3-fan radiator up here if you want an AIO installed. I still have the plastic lining on the tempered glass side panel, so let's take this thing off and take a look inside. Noting again about the build quality, this is actually a toolless design. You just have to pull off the tempered glass panel. I'm going to put the camera down because I don't want to break it. It's looking pretty clean in there. This is actually a fairly spacious PC case. As you can see from end to end, we're at 17.5 inches, which means you have lots of room for a really big GPU. I actually considered this Zotac card to be fairly long at 12.5 inches, and we still have another 3.5 inches before we reach the case fans. And this rather funky looking GPU is a Zotac X Gaming RTX 3070 with 8GB of GDDR6 memory. Underneath the Thermalright Assassin Spirit V2 CPU cooler, we have a Ryzen 7 5700X CPU with 8 cores and 16 threads. Great combo. Beside that, we have 16GB of Timetec Pinnacle Konduit, DDR4 3600MHz RAM. And this is all fitted onto a rather nice MSI B550M Pro-VDH Wi-Fi motherboard. A nice motherboard with some extra heat sinks, even on the NVMe SSD, which by the way has Windows 11 Pro installed, and it is a Timetec MS09 512GB NVMe solid state drive running at PCIe 3x4 speeds. A nice added feature of this motherboard is an extra PCIe slot, and that USB Type-C header is perfect timing for inclusion of this PC case. And powering it all, we have a Corsair RM750x 750W power supply, modular. On the rear I/O of the motherboard, we have a BIOS flashback button, which is always handy, a DisplayPort, VGA, and HDMI port that we can't use with the 5700X with no integrated graphics. Nice to have though, and for future CPU upgrades. And we have 4x USB 3.2 Gen 1, 2x USB 2.0, a mouse and keyboard PS2 port, gigabit RJ45 Ethernet port, and you see we have Wi-Fi on the motherboard, which includes Bluetooth 4.2, and we're treated to Wi-Fi 6 speeds with this particular M.2 card, which is very nice. And the usual audio jacks. And the 3070 has 1x HDMI 2.1 and 3x DisplayPort 1.4a. Back here we also have an extra 640GB Western Digital hard drive for extra storage space. So let's check out the video rendering and video encoding tests. And now we have DaVinci Resolve 19 loaded up with my usual 11 minutes of raw 1080p footage with the following settings for rendering. Let's see how long this one takes. 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So I'm actually pretty happy with that time. Interestingly, that is the exact same time with a Ryzen 5 7500F and the exact same RTX 3070. In comparison to the best time we have so far of 2 minutes and 4 seconds, I mean, we're only 16 seconds off. That time it was the Ryzen 7 5800X. Either way, this CPU is pretty rockin'. Now on to the demonstration of performance in Handbrake with 11 minutes of gaming footage at Creator 1080p 60. And we're again just testing the CPU power here. Let's go. 2 minutes and 35 seconds. And we're 17 seconds away from the fastest time with the 5800X. Going back to that 7500F and the same GPU, we're actually 15 seconds longer. And now we get to see how fast the 3070 encodes this. 52 seconds. Unfortunately, for some reason, the last time I tested the same GPU, I didn't test its performance in Handbrake. That's kind of weird. So we'll just compare it to the last GPU I tested, which was the RX 6600 at 53 seconds, only a 1 second difference. I guess that's what we can maybe expect from 8 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory. Still, I'm pretty happy with that. Before we move on to the gaming test, I'd just like to say thank you very much for checking out my video. If you're using this same SAMA case or you're using the same CPU and GPU combo in 2025, definitely let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day.